Hello and welcome to this video about how to get started with the Photoshop interface. So Photoshop is a pretty complicated program and you're going to want things to be kind of pleasant to work with if you're going to have a lot of things on the screen at once. So one of the things, for instance, that we can notice, if we hover over this, you see a very large box. Now simply knowing this is the crop tool is probably enough rather than this sort of animating box the whole time because it's going to become very intrusive into the screen. So you're going to want to turn that off. So we're going to start by going into the options menu. So there's many options that you may want to change in the options menu. You may not want to auto show the home screen, for example. And we look at the interface. I go for a very bright color here, the brightest one that you can get. I choose everything large, scale UI to font. And also in here, you can see I have very dark on the monitor because monitors are very powerful nowadays. And what a lot of people do is they'll have very dark colors, and that's only really because they've got a very bright monitor and it's making them want to set it to dark. In general, I prefer to have lower brightness on the monitor, but then brighter colors in the interface of the program. You can also see in the presentation I've chosen a large scaling UI, and then in workspace, large tabs as well. So essentially what I've done is made it so that all the text on the screen in the menus is kind of big. Now we saw there with that big crop picture, that is what is called a rich tooltip. So you don't really want that. Another thing you may want to do is also bump down this memory usage. In general, it's kind of always better to go on the lower range here. So I'll just get just about inside the lower range there. Also, if you're going to be using a lot of those neural filters, those really fancy new ones, it's very important to have lower memory usage. The graphics card, maybe I could try that a bit higher. We'll see when I do the 3D things in Photoshop. So when we look at the Photoshop interface, very important you have this box here. See, if I made this a single line here, see it's gone, that box. And this box is it's literally the foreground and the background picker. So you need that box there. So I feel like having two like this is pretty good for my use. Like I say, I like to have all these things quite big. And you can choose between a bunch of different workspaces. I've got a different one for custom photography. One thing you may want to do, one of the things I like to do is, I've got this one as well. So that's kind of an interesting one. This is like a 3D one. And because I'm left-handed, sometimes I want to look at stuff on the left-hand side in a way that a right-handed person might not want to do. So that's another thing as well to consider. But it's definitely worth thinking, do you want some of these things to be on the left-hand side? And you could, like I say, you can move between your different workspaces pretty straightforward. Okay, now I want to look at search functionality, because search functionality is kind of not really worth doing on Photoshop, if I'm being completely honest. So when we look at, we can go to the home screen like this, right? So say I do a search. We'll go for a search. And I'm just going to type the word search, because why not? And you can see we get a bunch of different things. And it even has some Adobe stock things. And it kind of isn't particularly useful beyond using, you may as well just use a browser for this, right? If you just use your internet browser. And again, we can press Control F and we go into the regular search. One of the things that I particularly find a little bit annoying is you actually have to resize the box to actually get the word discovered to appear. So that is a big problem, right? And it's especially exacerbated if we go into a hands-on tutorial, for example. Now this is kind of useful. This will give you some information about where things are. You can see there's the swatches panel over there. So that can be potentially useful. But for instance, say we check out a hands-on tutorial and we say, oh yeah, that looks great. I want to start the tutorial. You can see immediately, right? You can see immediately that I can't see the bottom of this box, right? So what I actually literally have to do is I have to resize the box every time because it's constantly resetting it, right? So if I ever want to go to a point where I want to go to the next, so if I ever want to go to the point where I want to go to the next section here, I'm actually not going to be able to do it. All the information that's here, I mean, if we compare it to what I've actually got in my browser, for instance, here's my looking at stock. You can see just how much better it is just in the browser, right? So, and really, yes, the hands-on tutorials are interesting, but like I say, they are just it's very difficult to use it without there being problems with this box here. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about for now. So thanks for watching.